Thanks a lot for staying tuned to this channel. I am Wilson Omasho. Welcome to International Forum. Today's edition is all about the Ukraine-Russian war. We're asking a question. Despite the 61 billion, if not $6 billion, dollars weaponry given to Ukraine, they are saying that the war right now, the fall for Donetsk region is not easy for them, so they're pulling back from some villages, well, I say some cities, in the Donetsk region or Donbass region, so to speak. Well, like asking, despite the support, is Russia really winning the war? Is it going to be, as Vladimir Putin predicted, that they should just leave the Donbass region, disband their military, go home, and there'll be peace? Or are they going to fight to the end? It was like the end right now is outside. And many countries are complaining. Greece said they cannot supply what they promised to supply. Germany also said they could just supply one or two things, but they cannot go beyond depleting their own arsenal because everyone is cautious. Everyone wants to, keep tab of their weaponry. They don't want to give it all out because they might just need it one day or the other day. Anyway, before I introduce my guests, let's get around the globe, picking up some stories making the round. Straight to Buckingham Palace, where Prince Charles, King Charles right now, returned to public engagement. Despite the fact that he's ill, he's responding to treatment according to doctors, talking about cancer. He has the courage, he has the boldness to really let his kingdom know what he is going through. They did not really expose the kind of cancer he is battling with, but right now, for what you can see for the very first time in a long time since Easter Sunday mass celebration, he came out to breathe fresh air, to see his people, to show that it's improving. And they're talking about going to pay a cancer hospital on Tuesday, a visit to encourage people with ailment to come out, to speak up for them to be treated early. After all, early detection, they say, saves lives. Now the king is giving a precedent, saying, look, if you're ill, don't be shy about it. Speak up. Never can tell where help will just come from. We'll just wish him speedy recovery as he goes about his public engagement. And let's take a look at another story that is making rounds globally. A Gaza war. U.S. hopeful Hamas will accept Israel's new ceasefire offer. Yes, it's all about ceasefire. It's all about trying to make sure that the hostages Israel has been crying about is released to them. Talking about 40-day ceasefire. At least that will definitely make both ends to really ponder, think about what they've done that led to this war. We'll think about the mistakes both ends have made. We'll think about how to forge a peaceful pact. Don't forget that Hamas was one that started all this. October 7 became ready for Israeli and their military, so got so angry, and the martial out attack all Hamas in Gaza is never been the same. But right now they are saying that it's high time they talked, and it's high time they allowed each party or each side to agree to a consensus. What U.S. said, they said this is the sweetest deal so far. Bring out the hostages, bring out the aged, bring out the sick ones, bring them all out, and of course there'll be a ceasefire. The reason why Hamas refused to oblige to the first agreement of 2 weeks was that they say they want a permanent ceasefire, then to agree to what Israel really wants. But right now, 40 days at least, that will give them time to recuperate and make sure that the war ceases. After all, they've learned their lessons, never ever to touch an Israeli settlement or attack Israel. I think that is lesson well learned, because Israel went all out. The world is not complaining. Israeli allies are complaining that Israel should please stop. This is almost getting into what is known as genocide. It's not fair. And I believe that Israel right now is listening. Thank God for Qatar, thank God for Egypt, thank God for some countries that came up with the U.S. to say it is time for them to broker peace. Moving on to the next story, still on South China Sea. Philippines accuses China of new water cannon attack. Now this story is funny and not so funny. Remember the South China Sea? You know, Chinese vessel is one, or that's when Japan telling them, look, this is Chinese territory. Do not come here to fish. All right, do not come here to do transaction. This is Chinese water territory. But Philippines say this is their ancestral home. They have a right to the water. But this time around, the Chinese maritime, how will I put it now, security outfits is using cannons to scare, to disperse Philippine fishermen, the Philippine military. They're telling them to please leave that place. They're not using lethal weapons, just, high current water. That can be so painful at times. So like, splash the ship, telling them to leave after all. This is our territory. Using chill against just small vessels. You could see how painful this is. You felt that it's just water. No, the water has been channeled into high velocity water that if it touches you, if you're not strong enough, it's going to throw you off the vessel. Now that's what the Chinese are using just to warn them. The Chinese said that, look, we are your big brother, but that part is our own part of the sea. We don't want to see you there. They're talking about the South China Sea. We're talking about the Hawaiian part also of that particular sea. The Japanese also are saying that what China is laying claim to belongs to them, that this is our ancestral home. They should learn to share. But Chinese say because of territorial integrity and for the security of Chinese waterways, no other country should enter there without permission. Fishermen have been thrown out. Right now, the Philippine Navy also, they've been disgraced. Yes, using water cannon against them. Come on, that is the height of it. But China is saying that, look, we didn't use force. We didn't use coercion. We used our water cannons. What are you doing here in our water space? Leave, leave, leave. Now, U.S. went to pay a visit to the Philippines saying that they have the deal, the Manila Island, and it's ironclad. Nobody should make them run away from their own water embodiment. But right now, this is what the Chinese is doing to them, proving to the world that China is still dominant in South China. Say, don't forget about the warning issued to the U.S. by China. Please don't cross our red line. Yes, every country do have red lines, and China, they've issued a strong warning. U.S., stay off. Do not cross our red lines. We keep watching. I'll keep telling you how development will definitely come up on international forum with news making. And we are taking a look at the Ukraine-Russian war. The Ukrainian army, are they retreating? That is a question from an analyst to answer. Here in the studio, he is a lecturer at Uniben Political Science Department, right? Yeah, do you want to welcome Professor Andrew Mosefe. Oh, Dr. Andrew Mosefe. Welcome to International Forum.
Thank you.
It's been a while. you just went off the grid. You didn't call, you didn't text, nothing.
Well, I'm back now.
You're back now. All right.
Good afternoon, viewers.
All right. So anybody close to him, he is a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Gabriel Ehigato. Barrister, welcome to International Forum.
Thank you, Mr. for having me.
Appreciate your coming.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Nigeria.
All right. Now let us start off with you, Dr. Andrew. I believe you've been watching this, you've been observing the trend. But despite the fact that Ukraine has been supported by various countries of the world, they have support from the US, they have support also from other nations like Poland, Germany, you just name it. But it's like it's not enough. To the extent that they have to bring the recruitment age to 25 to show you how things are going in Ukraine. Some of them are forcibly, ordered to the military to go and defend their motherland, which is Ukraine. From all you've gathered in all of these, if Nigeria call it the war in Ukraine, is the military of Ukraine or Ukraine getting weaker by the day?
Well, thanks so much for having me again. It is day 796 since the war broke out. And for a war of this nature that has continued, unabated, you will expect that at some point you will find, some kind of tiredness, some kind of, trying to get the language now.
Fatigue.
Your fatigue, coming in. And that is what I think is happening with the Ukrainian army. And if I must say, firstly, I didn't expect that Ukraine would hold up, up to this time. Initially, I told you earlier, that when the war started, some of us felt it was going to be a blizzard. Something that the Russians would just enter Ukraine and sack everybody and then take possession of the place. But Ukrainians have been able to hold firm. They have continued to, fight on. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think they are retreating. It's just about 3 villages, and I do not see that as retreating. When you say they are retreating, it means that they are now running away from the battlefront, from the theater of war, and now pleading with Russia to cease fire. But that is not what we are saying. Even, it may interest you that even up to this morning, also Russia has also suffered heavy casualties, especially in the border cities, with Ukraine. So the thing is from both ends. It's just that maybe the press chooses, especially the Asians and the Middle East, that's Al Jazeera and the others, choose to maybe amplify the side of Russia to make it look like Ukrainians are retreating. But if you go to Western media, you will find a balance, of the real situation on ground.
All right. Later we'll talk about the Western media, of course, Al Jazeera, the way they're reporting the war. Okay, we'll come back to that. Well, Barrister Gabriel, I believe you're monitoring the trend. This isn't the first time we've talked about this issue on air, but right now, according to reports, it's like the Ukrainian armies, they've chosen to fall back. All right, because doctors who use the word retreats. Okay, fine, they're falling back, giving up 3 villages right now, what you call towns, 3 of them to fall back to reevaluate the situation to see if they will go forward. Don't forget that they're complaining about weapons, about manpower. Are they fatigued or they are retreating to recuperate to further the attack against the Russian assailants?
Well, I think first and foremost, let's look at the role the Asian media have played in this whole game. From the outset of the war have been issued. The Asian media have given the impression that the Russian military forces seems to be overriding Ukraine. And they've never reported the improvement that have been carried out so far in the side of the Ukraine for, military forces, which is very painful. I even expect that by now, the world media governing body should have even drawn the attention, if possible, place a sanction in order to regulate the level of information that will be distributed in regards to the war in quote. Now let's look at the main issue. That Russia is also taking over territories that were formerly occupied by Ukraine. It's not a news. And it's not a news. This is not the first time it's happening. Over time, the Ukrainians have also retaliated and also captured cities, towns, villages. That's what belongs to the Russia. So this is not the first time. I wonder why we are overblowing it. That's why I said the damage that the media, the Asian media are doing to this world is unrepairable. When you look at it critically, the contribution, the effect that the United States of America is also having, the hate they are trying to bring to Ukraine, I think we should salute their courage. Even as we speak, that the United Nations and other international governing bodies have still not to even make a statement in regards to the help they are to render to Ukraine. So it looks as if it's a massacre of defense, but the other way around, actually supporting Russia. Last week, the United Nations Congress passed a bill of about $61 billion. A package to be given to the Ukrainian government and the military forces, which they are still expecting, because I listened about 2 days ago to the Ukrainian, media head and the military commander when he said that up till now they've not received. But they salute the courage of the Congress of the U.S. So there's a big expectation that any moment from now, all of these ammunitions and human capacity will come in, and it will be able to rejuvenate and give a sort of succor to the Ukrainian military force. But be that as it may, we want it to be on record that the media are not doing enough. They are doing more damage than expected, because there's a way information flies, and when people get information, they believe, especially when you see to have an authority over that. So I think that the media really have a lot to do in this. When you recall the last time Ukraine took over the eastern Ukraine territory that was formerly occupied by Russia, it wasn't as popular as this. You could only read it in electronic media, in a printed media. The Asian media could not have a report of that. If not for the help of the Western media, who could just give us a flashlight of what that happened? Who would actually believe that by now there's no city, there's no country like Ukraine, which is not true. So I believe that the Ukrainian government are actually doing their best, to encourage the citizens. And if you also watch, a lot of citizens, a lot of younger folks, and even entered the military of Ukraine. I can remember about 3 weeks ago there, but we were here also arguing that how come they've reduced the age from entering the Ukrainian military forces. But we can see that people are not voluntarily willing to even join and defend the sovereignty and the integrity of the nation. So that I think we should salute them.
All right. Now, since you want to delve into the role of the media for come true, whether they're religion or not, well, as a journalist, we do research. We watch a lot of little channels just to pick on information. I always realized that the stations you called, the Asian station, reported this story. And I went also to the Western media, the BBC, the CNN, they reported this story, but in a diluted form. Bottom line, 3 cities are falling right now to Russian assailant. That is just the truth. We just can't shake it. You might say that maybe other media channels are overblowing it. I went to those other channels to verify, and it's true. Some are saying that this was the reason why Zelensky was complaining that he need help. Apart from having this money or this weapon, they need personnel to come help them marshal the war against Russia to defend Ukraine. Like we're talking about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago about Ukraine bringing down, reducing the age limit of recruiting these personnel into the Ukrainian army.
25?
Yeah,
that's fine.
I mean, it's like right now, even a Ukrainian general confirmed this, saying that yes, it is true that 3 strongholds are fallen to Russian hands. Don't forget about Zaporozhye.
3 villages.
3 villages, villages or cities or town. Don't forget about Zaporozhye also.
Yeah.
Both media reported that this is just going the way they do not understand. Having assessed these 2 facts, don't you think that really the Ukrainian army, they're becoming so wary of this war?
Is that for me?
Yeah, for you.
Okay, let me quickly put this. I do not think that the Ukrainian army, are tired of the war. What they are talking about, are weapons. They need weapons. And that is why the United States pledged $61 billion munitions. And then the United Kingdom have also pledged 500 million pounds. In fact, Rishi Sunak will be making that statement later today. And even the Spanish government too, So the same way the Ukrainians are talking of aid for weapons, that's how Russians, irrespective of the fact that they are rich, are also seeking for help. Don't forget that just yesterday or so, a North Korean missile was fired in Ukraine. So what that also means, what that tells you, is that Russia themselves are also, becoming overwhelmed because they are now seeking for support. Now, Russia and China, is also a factor in this whole, saga. And that is why the Chinese president who is visiting Germany, either today or tomorrow, is also have this Russia-Ukraine crisis on its front burner, and they are also going to ensure that, the Chinese look at a way, to see how they can resolve the issue rather than supporting Russia with munitions and, with money and all of that. So what I'm saying is that it is not just about Ukrainian military, becoming tired or they are losing too much on their end. What they need now is weapons. And they are even saying they need missiles, high factor missiles that can do damage in Moscow. But because the United States government and the others are like, okay, if we supply these people this, it may now do heavy damage in Moscow and provoke other, nations, and then
other nations, or provoke Russia to do the unthinkable.
No, provoke Russia, provoke China, and other nations who are not, nations that you can really want to toy with. And then we'll now be talking of a third world war. And in fact, what the international community is trying to prevent is the reoccurrence or the occurrence of a third world war. And that is why you see that each of these nations that are involved are just trying to play safe. So if you ask me, I would say the way the Ukrainians are suffering casualties from their end, that's how the Russians are also suffering casualties from their end. It's just that, like he rightly said, the issue of Russia is over-amplified or over-reported, while the successes of the Ukrainians are underreported. And for me, I have a soft spot for Ukraine. And the reason I'm beginning to develop that soft spot is the very fact that I saw Ukraine as a weak nation. And when the war started, I felt that within 1 week, Russia will be done with Ukraine. But come on, it's 796 days. So I want to predict interesting times ahead, especially with this reinvigoration of the weaponry of the Ukrainians that they are going to be receiving any moment from now. You are going to see another twist to this war. And I am believing that with time, it may be Russians who will be calling for ceasefire, not Ukraine.
Okay, so we're calling for ceasefire, not Ukraine. Well, just to buttress the point you've made, long-range missiles right now, according to report, have been given to Ukraine. Yes, that can go far, yes. But they didn't say we can go as far as the heart of Russia, which is Moscow. Now, these were already given before this complaint started. All right? You talked about weapons. They should give them more weapons. But as it stands right now, Ukrainians are complaining about manpower. How do you think, even when the weapon is supplied, you could be able to use it effectively and efficiently to chase away Russian forces for the Donbass region? Over to you, Barrister.
Even before now, we have discussed our issues that have to do with manpower.
Yes.
It's not just enough to support them with weapons, intercontinental ballistic missiles and all of that, but the manpower, because there's actually a shortage of manpower. We can't hide that. And these are new weapons. These are not weapons that the Ukrainian military forces are used to. These are weapons that were produced by other countries and to be supplied to them, just as a war relief support. So I think that the U.S. also have a lot to do. Giving them ammunition is not enough. To also to support them in terms of human capacity. I know one that time, Frank Amigo was here arguing with me that, what time are they going to have to start teaching the soldiers how to use those weapons and all of that. Recently, a kind of a pre-admission academy had been set up in Ukraine, just to lecture those younger ones on how to see to use, ammunitions and how to be used to it. Remember, Ukraine is not like Israel. We're at a very young tender age. You're even taught on how to do ammunitions, even at secondary school. So I think the American government actually have enough to do if they want to actually help Ukraine. And let me also break this in that what China is trying to do, the China president will be visiting Germany any moment from now, and what he has in part of his blueprint and discussion note is part of the Russia-Ukraine war. To me, I think that is just, as we call it, our local language busybody. I think he's trying to just cry more than the bereft. Because the war didn't start yesterday. It even started long ago. Yeah. And China, by their body language, already stated the part they belong to. They are never in support of the Ukraine.
But they're not supplying weapons to Russia.
If you watch China,
they'll be neutral.
No, if you watch China, the body language of China and Korea, they agree with the Russia. Yeah. They never agree with Ukraine. So I wonder why the Chinese government is not trying to form as a pope, of an to become a diplomat, trying to say, hey, we are peacemaker, there should not be war, there should be peace and all of that. They've shown it over time that they supply Russia, even if they've not supplied weapons. How are we even sure that they've not actually supplied weapons? Because it has not been reported in the media. It has never been reported in the media. So, for me, Russia is just trying to play a good boy game, which does not actually reflect the concentration of their heart. Because Russia have shown, China have shown over time that they are with Russia. Korea have also shown over time that they are with Russia, North Korea, that they are with Russia. So it's just sympathetically that America and other countries are trying to take away with the Ukraine because they seem to be the lower vessel. But the Americans still have a long way to go. They need to actually help Ukraine if they want to. They need to show them the weapons and how to use it. They need to help develop their map power. They actually have a lot to do because they seem to be the only hope and the only country, singular country, who seems to be very much concerned about this war on the side of the Ukraine. No other nation have shown much interest in even resolving this war. Because if that have been the issue, if Germany have shown interest, if Britain have shown interest, if not that America did what they did, I'm not even sure that UK or Britain will even show interest in this war at all. Look at the money they decide to also release in support of Ukraine. Where have they been all this way? And you know the level of... But they've been
supplying weapons.
No, you know the level of fight.
Even Boris also began to
the level of effort that Ukraine government have shown in this war. That's why they are attracting this late sympathy. America have been there. Even people have been waiting in America, or even said over time, that can't America convince other nations or United Nations to actually put a stop to this war? Why can't they call Iran a round table and discuss diplomatically to see how to resolve this war? Why do they have to wait that they want to linger to this extent? And you're not trying to play the role of a good boy. Oh, we supply you weapons. Oh, we give you ammunition. Oh, we are giving you aid to fight the war. Is that supposed to be the primary idea over this whole thing? We expect that by now, America, other nations, especially the big nations, the United Nations, ought to go together to see how to resolve the war.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Barrister. I want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue definitely with the discussion. He talked about giving them human capability. That means giving them soldiers. But don't forget that Russia warned against that. If you do that, we will go all out. When we return, we'll take a look at the implication of venturing to supplying human capacity. Military, Ukraine might, are they retreating? That's a question put forward today. My own administrator to dissect the situation because, like he rightly said, over 700 is meaning over 2 years and counting. Okay, the war still rages on, but some generals or commanders have been sacked by Zelensky because, according to him, they are not giving him what he wants. And of course, some generals also have complained that yes, it's true that they have withdrawn from 3 villages. Yes, those villages could be likened to a town or even a city, in Ukraine because of logistic problem and so many things they mentioned. Don't forget that U.S. last week supplied Ukraine long-range missile. Yes, it's true that Russia will be getting some hit in the border town, but some are saying that the hit on Ukraine is far, far worse than what the Ukrainians are pointing, just dab, Russia is going with an uppercut and stuff like that. Well, Barrister Gabriel talked about human capacity. You should give them soldiers also to operate these weapons, but Americans are saying we just can't do that. They're becoming too close, getting too personal. We can give you weapons, but we cannot give you manpower. Even though that countries also, they've said that. Today said that someone said that Ukraine can just go source from mercenaries. After all, according to them, they accuse Russians of sourcing from machinery vis-a-vis the Wagner group. Who knows if they are still there? We don't know for now. So take it off from there. Do you think if the U.S. follows the advice of Barrister Gabriel to supply human soldiers to go fight this war, it may just lead to what we've been trying to prevent, a world war?
Well, the truth is this. That would be a violation of international convention if the United States move men, you know, into Ukraine as, you know, ground support forces, you know. The best they can do is what they are doing now. They cannot actually take men into Ukraine without any form of provocation, you know, or any form of aggression against the interests of the United States. And so I do not think that the Ukrainians actually need ground troops from other countries. Yes.
Why would you say so?
I'm coming.
Because Zelensky cries, look, you give us ground, we need them.
No, they can't.
He begged for it.
The best they can get, like you rightly said, is the involvement of mercenaries. But that the United States or the United Kingdom or any of the allied countries, you know, will move in men into that place, except it is a declaration of a full-scale war against Russia, using Ukraine as a bait. That is the only way. Then that can also be done under the auspices of NATO. Not the United States as a nation or United Kingdom as a nation. They are using the right approach, which is, you know, recruiting more people into the army and then reducing the age limit, you know, so that people can now join.
But it's not enough.
No, for now, you may see it as not enough.
They are even saying it's not enough.
They may say it is not enough.
Yeah.
But the continuous recruitment, because initially when this war started, you know, I said something just now, that I did not expect that this war will last up to this. In fact, when we were arguing at some point, you know, some person said it was going to be a blizzard. I said no, I do not think it would be as easy. But even though I did not see it, you know, as something that would be easy for Russians to prosecute, I did also think that it would go for over close to 3 years. So, the way things are now, I want to suggest that there are other options that could be explored. In as much as I do not support violence, I do not support war, I also think that in this case, Russians are the offenders, because Ukraine is a sovereign nation and they can choose to join any group that they want to join as far as it protects their national interest. You know, don't forget that in the international system, what is recognized is, you know, national interest. And so if Ukraine is saying that they joining NATO will best protect their national interest, I do not see why the Russians will just enter. Of course, the Russians will also say that they preventing Ukraine, who are just their next door neighbor, or even their brothers, from joining NATO, is also in protection of their own national interest. Because they also feel that if Ukraine joins NATO, Ukraine ordinarily will become a base, a military base for NATO. And so America is, you know, they are the basic, you know, promoters of NATO. They are the owners of NATO. And so the Russia-American feud, in fact, in the cross of this matter, or the cross of this whole issue, is still that same America-Russia feud that is unending. So I want to now think that because the truth is, the Russians are also suffering very heavy casualties, not just the Ukrainians. So at this point, if China now wants to come in, that's why I do not want to say they are busybodies, because at this point, they need them to come together and, you know, join heads together to see how they can resolve. If China is now committed to that peace, world peace, if China is committed, you know, to tranquility in that region, I think they should now, you know, be at the front line, you know, of solution, at the front line of maintenance of peace.
All right.
You know?
All right. Now, what is the need of supplying a weapon if there's no manpower to operate such weapons? Don't forget, some weapons supplied to the Ukrainians have been alleged to be seen in the black market. Yes. Confirmed report that is there. That some persons are trafficking these weapons to the extent that Zelensky got so angry due to lack of trust of his commanders, he got them fired. So you're not to like, handle this situation because like, very sensitive to the extent that after sacking those commanders, they started making gains. But right now it's like the tide is changing, and right now he said against Ukrainians. U.S. last week, like I said earlier on, supplied them long-range missiles. You give them this weapon, they are crying that they are rolling low. Talk about manpower to operate these weapons. Don't you think that if this goes on for a while, it's as good as losing the defense of the territorial integrity to the Russian aggressors?
If you even look at it critically before now, I think at the time we have a discussion that will do with the issue of corruption in the admitting of people into the Ukraine military forces, where people are to bribe in, military officers in order for their children not to be enlisted into the Ukrainian military forces. So it was there. It was there, and whatever is the report, the painful part of this is that whatever is the report we are getting from the media, the level of sincerity has become very low. And that is why anything can go. That is why you can wake up tomorrow and say that, Russia have taken over 500 cities, even though their seats will be 400. So a lot of misinterpretations are here and there. And they also try, and what these media houses are doing, this report is actually doing a lot of damage, especially to the Ukraine. Because the president seems not to also trust his military commanders again.
With facts, because
I said that because if you watch,
and even this media also reported when Russia has been hit.
Which I agree with you. But if you watch critically, before now, the kind of news or people that were, suddenly the responsibility of giving the whole date and regards to the war in the side of the Ukraine, we are not the top military officers. But now you have the commanders, you have the generals themselves, who are coming to give press statements, to give assertion, to give, related issues and inform the citizen and the president of how far they go in the war. Don't show how serious it is. So it's unfortunate that the level of corruption must actually creep in. You can't remove that. And that is what Zelensky has been trying to clear off. And that has also created a part of affecting the energy that would have been infused into this war. So saying that, those nations were sold in black market and is laughable. After every fuel, it was sold in the black market. So if you say that,
for them to fight this war. And that this gotten seen in the black market, you see this thing that everything intact, black market.
Are you saying the ammunition to be supplied by the US, for example, we also tagged us at black market?
We will be supposed to see them in the black market.
Black market.
Because for what they are saying, we don't have the military personnel to operate this weapon. What is the need of giving us weapons if we don't have army, we don't have soldiers to use these weapons?
But the same Ukraine have been recruiting their own citizens into the military forces.
And it's not
enough. Not sure that it's not enough. Do they not need to grant visa for people to come and join the Ukrainian army? Is it not their people that we use? What makes you feel it's not enough? So because of what the ACR media are reporting. That's why you are feeling that, it's not enough, the house citizen is not enough, the house citizen is not enough, but as we speak, the citizens are not even willing. More people are even coming to join the army, not to defend the external integrity and more of their countries.
And more are giving excuses to run away.
Some are giving excuses to run away. So others are also saying
even they want to join. Other nations are looking for ways
to even join. So for us to just believe that one part or a proportion of the words overblown doesn't actually make it to be true. Doesn't make it to be true. So that is why we are also saying that the media is playing a very dangerous role in the report of this war. And this is not started for today. It started for the beginning of this war. The report have not been so effective. The report have not been encouraging. In fact, they are doing more damage to this war. And that is what is going to actually make the issue of reconciliation to be very difficult. Because the impression we are having is that, Russia is leading. Even if US is supporting Ukraine, Russia is still leading. Oh, they're giving Ukraine ammunition, but there's no manpower. Ukraine have cut down their age of ammunition into the army and all of that. So you see all those kind of report and all, it does not encourage diplomatic resolution. It does not encourage calling on the round table to resolve the issue. It does not at all. That is why we are clamoring that the big boys who have a big name, a big jersey, those who seem to be the leaders of the United Nations, of NATO and all of that, need to come together to resolve this issue in order to prevent. In the next 50 years, the war is still going to, it's going to continue. Because if you look at it now, the Russia have not been able to even get into the major cities of Ukraine.
If you say,
except the eastern region.
Don't forget about the carnage, so to speak, or the missile that targeted and was struck target in Kiev, their capital.
No, it only happened once. It didn't happen again.
Not once, more than once.
No, it didn't happen again. They were
more than once.
It didn't happen again. Which is you are telling me the media is listening. It didn't happen again. When Ukraine attacked Russia, how come it was not publicized as we are talking now?
Even in the Crimea region.
Yes, it was not publicized as we are talking now.
But they were reporting of this.
Do you even know why this whole issue is even glamoring now? It is because US has said they are going to supply Ukraine and support Ukraine with long-range missiles that can even get to Moscow. But the time Ukraine finally get it and shoot only one, and it eventually hit Moscow, do you think that the level of information and interpretation of this war will get to this extent? It will not.
All right. Now, let me come to you, Dr. Andrew. Barrister has raised a very strong point, talking about, weapons being supplied and all that. But as it stands right now, Ukraine is a theater. You can't shy away from it. Ukraine is the one hosting the war. You can't shy away from that. There is a foreign body right now in Ukraine wreaking havoc in the country, making life unbearable in that particular country. The Russians, they have their reasons for doing it. But to some, that reason is not even good enough for you to invade another country.
Yeah.
But as it is right now, according to Zelensky, it said the world has been distracted from the war going on in Ukraine. They're distracted by Israel-Hamas war. They're distracted by other things happening. There's a support, according to him, is not given to them. After that cry, that was when long-range missiles were supplied to them. Some are saying that as long as the war between Israel and Hamas continues, thank God for the ceasefire, less attention will be paid to Ukraine. Hence, why they are suffering the way they're suffering right now in the theater of war. Do you see an element of truth in this assertion or calculation?
Yes. The truth is, there's so many things are going on in the world right now and at the same time. And Russia, Ukraine is just a part of the problems that we are experiencing in the world. Israel, Gaza, I thank God that we are beginning to see light from that end, and I'm sure that any moment from now, we will see both sides of peddling, So I do not see Israel-Gaza war as a war that we linger on, for a longer time. But this Russia-Ukraine war, like you rightly said, may still be on for the next 50 years. All those who think that Ukraine is retreating and they will surrender, they are joking. I said it almost 3 years ago, that it is not going to be easy. It is not going to be business as usual. The Russians, have just, that was what the words I used that time, that they have just beaten more than they can chew. And at the end of the day, they may not, be able to see this through to a logical conclusion. And then my friend who was sitting with me started laughing and was like, what are you saying? Do you know what Russia can do? And all of that. But he confessed to me after some time. I said, it's like you were right all this while. I said, that is how it is. You know when the war will start, but you don't know when it will end. And whether you like it or not, the Russians are not also finding it funny as we speak. They are not enjoying it. It's just that the pride and arrogance that goes with the Russian Federation will not just allow them to call their younger brothers and say, let us sit down and discuss. Even the efforts that have been made by other nations have hit brick wall. So I want to see a situation where, you know, both countries will be reasonable enough, especially from the Russian end. The Ukrainians actually, you know, are ready to be reasonable, but the Russians are not. So
Russia gave a condition which you can't
that they should not join NATO.
Don't join NATO.
Don't join NATO. But
leave the Donbass region. Disband your army. Go home, double peace.
How can you ask a nation to leave the Donbass region? A region, just because they succeeded in annexing Crimea, they now want to take the Donbass region as well. And you know, what is the responsibility of government, if not to protect the lives and citizens of the nation and its territorial integrity? So if at this point, the Russians still do not understand that this is not a war that they are going to win just like that, then it means something is actually wrong with them. At this point, those who think the Ukrainians are retreating and that they will continue to retreat are just joking. Because when you think they are going to die, a kind of invigoration will come. They are recruiting people massively now, and they are saying it's still not enough. What do you expect? Should they tell you that it's enough? Even if they have 1 billion military personnel on the ground, if they will still tell you it is not enough. The Ukrainians are not joking. The Ukrainians know exactly what they are doing. And if they come on air to tell you, oh, the numbers we have, they are not enough, we are dying, and you think it is like that, let them be happy. By the time the Ukrainians will hit them where it pains them most, that is when they will know that those guys are not actually joking. I foresee a situation where if this war is not ended, it will take another dimension where the Russians, it has happened before now, where the Ukrainians hit the Russians and they retreated. They ran back, and that wasn't well reported.
Exactly.
But it happened where the Russian ammunition were seized by the Ukrainians, and the Russian military forces, so many of them were killed, and then they retreated back to Moscow. So it has happened before. It will continue to happen. The Ukrainians are very prepared from what I see. They know what they are doing, and this approach that they are using to prosecute the war is just the right approach that they need to win. And they have the military, they have the weaponry now. The missiles are coming, funding is coming, everything is coming. All they just need to do now is to rally their people, especially the younger ones, to now join up in this fight and fight it to a logical end.
All right. Now, to call it a wrap on this, you've had the last line, but we're going to have the last line in the discussion because our time is up.
Yes.
Are you now saying that Ukrainians are not retreating? According to the report given by them, that really they've given up all the retreat from 3 villages. On the Russian side, they are like making gains and they are pummeling Ukraine. Or do you see the Russian now going back to Russia if the war is not properly executed?
Well, I want the Ukrainian to keep. I've only been a supporter of them, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I want the Ukrainian to keep the
both of you,
Ukraine. Ukraine has said over time, even when you look at the speech of Zelensky, he has said that it's a war to finish. Even before the U.S. Purported, aid started coming in and all of that, there's a war to finish and all. Even long before they started recruiting people into the army, the more. So the energy is strong. The zeal is very high. There will be so much rejuvenation of the war. So I do not see them quitting. But I feel that the way the world is going, and if nations of the world, the United Nations governing bodies are actually sincere enough, I see them having the kind of a dialogue. Because if you watch, even Putin's speech have actually started changing also. They also feel the heat. You can remember there was a time the Russians were in the street protesting. They don't even need the war again. Even against their government. They do not need war again. So, whichever ways, I see them coming to a round table to resolve. But if that do not happen, then the war will continue.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for a wonderful analysis. I don't question the Ukrainian army if they're retreating. The answer is a strong no, blatant no, saying it could be tactics. You never can tell, but Ukraine have gotten delivery of long-range missile, but Russia give a very stern warning. If the headquarters is touched, or you give them more resources, the war is going to take another dimension. There's going to be no holds barred. They can use anything in their arsenal to execute the war. Some are saying that Russia will be exercising restraint in some part. They don't want to come out in full force. Some are saying no, Ukrainians are strong. They can absorb all Russian plummeting and they will push back Russian forces. Only time definitely will tell. Let's keep watching, keep doing, and I keep reporting to you what is happening internationally on the International Forum. Bye for now.